If you're looking for a shoe that is light, versatile, bouncy, springy, fun, energetic, and soft, look no further than the all-new ASICS Super Blast 3. I've been running in this shoe for probably the last month and a half at least, and I can safely say that it is one of my favorite releases of the year thus far. We're only in April, so I know that doesn't mean much, but I think this will stay in my top 3 shoes of 2026. Who this shoe is gonna be for covers a whole different range of people, which I think ASICS have really nailed with the Super Blast 3. So in this video, we're gonna go over the specs, what kind of running you're gonna be using this shoe for, who this shoe is actually for, and then we're gonna go over also what it compares to and some other options that it does compare to on the market as well. Let's start with who this shoe is actually for. So like I stated previously in the video, ASICS have done really well in capturing a broad market of people with this shoe. So many people can use this shoe, and that's why the Super Blast 1 and 2 have been loved so much, is because it is so versatile and can be used for a bunch of different things, meaning a bunch of different people can get in it. But it's also nice and stable via this wide platform that it's built on, meaning that even people that need sort of a little bit of stability within a shoe can use this shoe because it's got that nice broad base, but then it's got that nice fun foam as well. So it's a fun shoe, it's a stable shoe. So like I said, a lot of different people can get into this shoe, and it's something I think that ASICS have hit on the head, hit the nail on the head when they've thought about this shoe and then brought it to life. Some specs around the shoe. The heel stack height is 46.5 millimeters. The forefoot stack height is 38.5 millimeters for an 8 mil heel pitch. The top layer in the midsole is FF Leap. So that is ASICS proprietary foam. It's used in their MetaSpeed series, including the Ray, the Edge, and the Sky. And it's got FF Blast Max on the bottom, which we see in the Glide Ride Max, the Nimbus, the Keanu, etc. And what that does is that FF Blast Max through the bottom just really levels out that soft FF Leap on top. First thing I noticed when I put this shoe on is how soft it is compared to the Super Blast 2, which again, I really enjoyed, but it's a completely different feel. Super Blast 2, you know, really aggressive, quite firm underfoot, whereas the Super Blast 3, FF Leap, you can really feel that softness and you can really feel that FF Leap compress when you're putting a lot of force specifically through the forefoot. What I did notice though is, like I said, that FF Blast Max really levels out the leap. So you do sink into the leap, but you don't fall all the way into the ground and through the forefoot thanks to that FF Blast Max. It creates a nice stable ride, and I think if it was just FF Leap, you would feel quite unstable in it because it is so soft. But thanks to that FF Blast Max, you're getting that stability factor and then that durability factor as well. Another thing that ASICS have kind of updated on the Super Blast 3 compared to the Super Blast 2 is having this trampoline pod in the forefoot. You can really notice that through the forefoot, especially if you are more of a forefoot striker and less of a heel striker. I certainly do come in more on that forefoot, and you can really feel it compress and then spring back to its natural position. So that trampoline pod does give it that extra bounce factor, which I think, again, hats off to ASICS for you know, chucking that in from the Nova Blast into the Super Blast series. The upper is a lot more accommodating than a bunch of other shoes on the market. I've got the Super Blast and I also run in the Mega Blast, and from my first few runs in the Mega Blast, definitely noticed that upper was a little bit tight. And speaking to, you know, customers on the floor, the bit of the feedback was the Mega Blast upper just cuts too narrow, and it does, you know, rub on the pinky toe and then sometimes on the big toe as well. With this shoe, I almost feel like I almost have too much room in the forefoot, which I kind of like. I like that I am, you know, firm through the lacing, firm through the heel, so I'm not getting any slip, but then my toes can kind of splay and do what they want. The upper is super light. You don't feel hot in it at all. I've got plenty of room in there, which I love. So I think this shoe, especially for someone who's running, 3:15, 3:30, 3:45, 4 hours in the marathon, and they kind of want a shoe that's going to feel more comfortable than give them that extra performance benefit, then that's the shoe. But I don't think there's so many performance benefits still coming from this shoe, but you're getting the extra comfort with it, where you don't necessarily get that in the other carbon options on the market. They're more performance driven rather than being super comfortable. So if I'm weighing up performance versus comfort, especially over a 3-hour period, I'm probably going comfort all day, every day, meaning I'm picking that. Another good thing that ASICS have done with this update, they've kind of segregated the space between the Super Blast and the Mega Blast now. So the Mega Blast using the FF Turbo Squared foam, it's definitely a lot firmer of a ride, definitely more responsive as well. Whereas the Super Blast, a lot softer, better for those kind of daily training paces where you are probably going, 30 seconds to a minute slower than what you would on like a session or, some track reps or whatever. So if you're after more something that you can probably use in a more versatile setting, Super Blast is the way. If you're looking for more of a threshold track session, longer run, marathon session, half marathon session reps, the Mega Blast is probably your way to go. The Mega Blast is a slightly lighter shoe as well, whereas this is still super light, but it just is that little bit heavier. But like I said, ASICS have done a really good job in kind of segregating those two shoes now, and they're both going down their own path instead of, having two really quite firm options, slightly different foams still, and, using them for the same purpose. So a couple of things people might not like about the Super Blast 3. I think new people to the Super Blast series will absolutely love this shoe. It's more so for the people that are coming from the Super Blast 2 and really enjoy and love that feeling. They might not resonate with the new feeling of the Super Blast 3. Because it is such a vastly different shoe in terms of that soft feeling, a few bits of feedback I have heard from people is that they just don't enjoy it as much. And they prefer that firmer, more responsive feeling. Now, personally for me, I still get the same amount of response out of the shoe, if not a bit more. I still get a lot from this shoe, but yes, it is definitely a softer shoe, and people aren't, some people aren't liking that as much. So if you are coming from the Super Blast 2, just be aware that it is a softer shoe and it is a bit of a different shoe. So just be prepared for that. Some other shoes that could be comparable to the Super Blast 3 that are on the market at the moment, you're probably looking at your Cloud Monster Hyper from On, your Mizuno Neo Vista from Mizuno. You also have the Glycerin Max from Brooks. And if you're someone who probably isn't liking the Super Blast 3, looking for something more like the Super Blast 2, the Hyper Boost Edge from Adidas could be the answer to your problems. If you want to try the Super Blast 3 on, have a run at it in the treadmill in store, come and see us in Wollongong or shop online.